And good morning to everyone. How are you today? All right. Do you want to prosper? Yes. Anybody want to prosper even more than you're already prospering? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Twist my arm. So we've been in this series of how to prosper, and the first week we talked about casting your vision, right? Having that bigger perspective in life. That's one of the practices, one of the principles of how to prosper. And then last week we talked about the power of generosity, the power of giving. And I just want you to feel into that power of giving for a moment. So do you remember about a year ago, the board came to everyone and said, a little over a year ago, and said, hey, we've got this big thing coming up. We've got to qualify to refinance our mortgage for this property. And we need everybody to step up their giving. And everybody did. Everybody who could did. And then we successfully refinanced our mortgage, and then we were able to take some money out of that refinance and take care of some deferred maintenance. And today is our first day on our new carpet. Woohoo! Also, you might notice these cool-looking thermostats on the wall that are supposed to be super smart. And we have a new air conditioning for this room, which last week we talked about was getting a little warm in here. Since we did it all at once, we have the doors open to let the carpet air out a little bit more, just in case you were wondering. So, and we have a new parking lot. So how about it? It's not a new parking lot, but, a resurfaced parking lot. So when you clap, you are thanking yourself because you are the givers. You are the ones who stepped into the power of generosity for our community and allowed our community to prosper. And it is fun when we have these physical manifestations that we can point to, right? Of course, ways we can prosper are endless, and a lot of them include more invisible feelings like love and and a feeling of abundance in various ways, peace and joy and so on. So it's all of that when we talk about prosperity. So finally, today in this mini-series, we're talking about another principle and practice that helps us prosper, and that is letting go. Letting go. Yeah, I heard the big sigh. Because letting go is so much, right? In so many different ways we can let go. Forgiveness, letting go of grudges, letting go of resentments, letting go of fears, letting go of burdens, letting go of control. John always reminds me of one of the former ministers here, Max Lafster, said, everything I ever let go of has claw marks on it. So I want to invite us into a practice. If you like to play, you can take both hands or just your dominant hand, whichever, and clinch it up. Just like make a really, really tight fist. And, when you think it's really tight, just tighten it up some more. So that is the posture of clinching, right? Of holding on, of grasping, of trying to control, of holding on to resentments and grudges and fears and so on. So now I want to invite you to just in slow motion begin to slowly release and slowly open your hand or hands and just start to notice how you feel. So you've just opened up space for spirit to flow. You've opened up space to receive abundance, joy, love, whatever it is you might be seeking. How's your body feel in this stance versus this one? Right? Do you notice? I notice the difference in my shoulders. So this, your heart is more open, shoulders relaxed, ready to receive. Yeah, so that's the posture we want to be in. That's the posture to receive from Spirit. So often we sit like that when we meditate, right? I'm just here to give over in these moments, to receive. But what if we move through our days like that, in that kind of posture, more open to what comes our way, more open to receive guidance from Spirit, to be open to the people and the things that come into our path, and to be present. There's so many different ways, right? When we have that kind of posture in life versus this one, what can happen for us? And that's a really key step to prosperity. It's good to have these kind of physical experiences, mindful practices that you can use. So I just encourage you to even use that during your day. Maybe you'll notice when you're holding on to something, or your body's feeling tense, and you actually take a moment to tense up your fist and then let it go and say, okay, now I'm breathing again, now I'm moving again, now I'm open again, ready once again for Spirit to give me the gifts of prosperity so that I may also share them with others. So that's really the flow we get into. Sometimes the things that we hang on to weigh us down, of course, and sometimes the things that we hold on to actually burn us. Have you noticed that? Yeah, if you're holding tight to an ember and, so to speak, right? And you are either holding tight because you won't, you just don't want to let go of this judgment or whatever it is that you're holding about someone or yourself. Or maybe you're even thinking about hurling it at somebody. You ever watch the news and you want to hurl your ember of anger, But just notice, what happens when we do that. When we try to protect ourselves, and actually, in truth, we're the ones who get burned. So Buddhaghosa, who was a 5th century writer of some of the texts in Buddhism, wrote this about this idea. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else, and you're the one who gets burned. Yeah. And if there is an ember you've been grasping in this way, whether you want to hurl it at someone or not, you can notice that even the thought can burn us, right? Even holding the thought in mind can burn us in some way. So something just to keep in mind as we go on our walk of letting go, of allowing, of stopping the grasp. The biblical story of Jacob and Esau is a great demonstration of this principle, because in both the case of Jacob's walk and Esau's walk, there's a profound letting go. So all the components are there of when we hold on and fester and things, we're striving and struggling as part of Jacob's story, and part of Esau's story is demonstrating how to prosper through the power of letting go and forgiving. So these two were twins. If you know the story, you might not always remember that they were twins, because the focus is on the fact that Esau was the older brother. In fact, when Esau was born, Jacob came second, obviously, out of the womb, but he was holding on to the heel of Esau as he came out. And so he was named Jacob, which means the supplanter. So it's a little foreshadowing of who Jacob's going to show up as, because when the two boys come of age, then it's time in the Hebrew tradition for the oldest boy to get the blessing from the father, prosperity blessing, right? But Jacob is really shrewd, and he's the supplanter, right? So he hatches a deceptive plan to trick his father and get the blessing for himself. And as soon as he's gotten the blessing, he's got to, get out of town, because Esau's coming home from the hunt, and he's going to be mad. And he's like this big, burly, hairy man. And so Jacob leaves town, and he's, lots of things happen in his life, and the two are estranged over a long period of time. And there's a weightiness, right? There's a struggle, there's a striving in Jacob's life, and there's a weightiness. There's shame that he's holding for this experience, and probably sadness around the estrangement too. And so this is where we pick up the story again, is when the night before, Jacob is to meet Esau again, because he's heading home. And so he's pretty nervous, as you might imagine. And he's kind of wrought with, actually, not just pretty nervous, he's wrought with fear. And he's still feeling kind of weighed down by those shameful thoughts as well. And so one of the tribe members that are part of Jacob's crew comes back to add insult to injury and says, Esau's coming this way with 400 men. So Jacob sends his family across the river, and he spends the night alone at the ford of the river Jabbok, and he struggles that night. In fact, it says that he wrestles with an angel all night long. Anybody ever feel like you wrestled with an angel all night long? Or maybe not just the angel, right? That you wrestle with your own anxious thoughts, your own fears, your own whatever it is that you're concerned about, that you toss and turn all through the night. And this is a kind of experience, I think, that Jacob is having. It says he's alone, but then it says he's with an angel. And Ed Rabel, who's an old school Unity teacher, he's long since made his transition, but everybody loved Ed Rabel back in the day when all the classes were in person at Unity Village. He said this about this story. He said, the person, who Jacob is wrestling with is himself, of course, right? He's wrestling with the person he is now and the person he is yet to become. Can you relate to that? So there is always that in fact, that's probably always present for us. It doesn't have to be a wrestling match, but there is always a becoming experience for us. There's a part of us that this is how I am now, and then there is that part of us that's next level. That's the next higher level of consciousness that is a part of us, and that's what the angel symbolizes. So by the break of dawn, well, not quite yet the break of dawn, I guess it's pretty close to the break of dawn, the angel says to Jacob, hey, it's time to let go. He's still struggling, he's still fighting, he's still wrestling. And Jacob says, I'm not going to let go until you give me a blessing. So he does get a blessing. And his blessing is a new name. He's given the name Israel. So Ed Rabel says, the supplanter has been supplanted. Not by another, but by a new level of consciousness. But it doesn't come without some pain. And literally, his hip is thrown out of its socket also when he wakes up. So he's got a new name, and he's got an injury. But that injury is really significant because the hip, what is the hip, right? It's good old Louise Hay. Anybody know the Louise Hay? It's taking the next step, right? It's about kind of freezing, not taking the next step. And so here he's got this out of joint space. But also what's key for this is Jacob is in a surrendered, vulnerable position. And that is key, especially for somebody who's used to trying to control the outcome, right? Now he's got to just be, okay, Spirit, I'm open, I'm willing, I've wrestled all night, I did get a blessing, and I still got to face my brother and 400 men. And my hip, So he's limping, and he's just there, unarmed, limping by himself, moving toward Esau. And as soon as Esau sees his brother coming over the hill, he drops whatever he's got in his hands that might have looked like combat, and he runs to him, and he hugs him, and he cries, and he kisses him. And obviously, Jacob is forgiven. So another really cool thing happens. Then Esau says, because Jacob had sent all these flocks and herds of livestock ahead to try to soften things up when he heard that 400 men were coming. And Esau says, I've got plenty. What do you don't need to give me all these gifts. Why are you giving me all these gifts? And Jacob says, no, please accept my gifts. Because right now, while I'm looking at your face, I am looking at the face of God. Have you ever had that kind of experience, that kind of just moment when something is forgiven, when you forgive and somebody is forgiven, or a healing moment like that, or a reconnection, a reconciliation, or maybe it's with yourself, a moment when you just shifted into a softer place for yourself and you forgave yourself, you let go of something that you'd been trying and striving and struggling about. And it's like, I can see the divine now. I can see the divine in myself, in the other, and we are healed together. So these twin brothers have twin lessons for us, essentially, about prosperity. You know, Jacob's lesson, of course, is about surrender, is about letting go, is about giving up, is about stopping striving, all the things that allow us then, once we stop, to open up to our abundance, to our peace, to our joy, to our love, to whatever it is that we long for. And for Esau, of course, it is opening through forgiveness, by letting go, by not holding on to an old grudge, and by saying, wow, you're my brother, you're my sister, you're part of me, in whatever ways we might identify that, right? We are one, ultimately. And that recognition then allowing us to receive our gifts, all the gifts that came, even the tangible blessings that Esau received as a part of this. So Jacob's surrender, Esau's forgiveness, together they allow an even greater level of multiplied prosperity to be received. So I see another dressed in a wizard's ball outfit, running down and yelling with glee. So sorry about that. I was distracted by joy. But maybe you can recall a time, that you have forgiven someone, or you have forgiven yourself, or something maybe that you're holding on to now that you'd like to forgive. And when you do make that shift, you know that feeling, you know how it feels, that lightness of being, the freedom, that new way of seeing. We're back to that first principle that we talked about at the beginning of the series. There's a new, wider perspective. There's a dawning of understanding, or maybe there is a bubbling up of joy like just happened. So for all of us, there is this opportunity, right? And you may have something in mind today that you're working with, that some burden or unforgiveness or something that feels like it's weighing you down, a worry or concern. And I'm looking for a volunteer, but I'm looking for a specific volunteer. So I'm going to say a little bit more about the volunteer. So if you, in particular, if there's somebody in the audience today that wants to volunteer that has an issue with a relative or an ancestor that you would like to clear, that you would like to let go of, that you would like to open the pathway to maybe a greater, freer, more prosperous space. And also, if you think you can hold something that weighs about 15 pounds. Maybe 10, I don't know. You can do it. I'll help you. I'll help you. If you really want to come up and you're thinking it might be a little too heavy, I'll help you hold it. Here comes Scott. Come on down, Scott. All right, you have something in mind? You don't have to tell us what it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, okay. So, will you hold this for me for a moment?
Huh?
That's not it.
It's not heavy either.
Okay, if you go over closer to the lectern mic, then we can put this down.
Oh, my back. I work at the post office.
So if you can imagine for a moment that this is that situation that you're holding in mind, connected to an ancestor, a relative, maybe around forgiveness, something along those lines. Is that right?
What was the last bit?
Something along those lines,
Yeah.
is that about
Yeah.
right? Yeah. How's that feel to hold that? Is it kind of heavy?
It's fine right now.
Okay. All right. I would really like to give you a gift. I think you should probably set the whole thing down, maybe. Because I want you to really be able to receive the gift.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can receive it. Isn't that amazing?
Cool.
Yeah. So that's you can trace
Wow.
your ancestry, your DNA, ancestry DNA kit.
Wow. Does this do Native American stuff?
I don't know. You'll have to
Okay.
explore.
All right.
So let's take a look too, because there's a message on the rocks that you let down, the burden that you let down. How does it feel, by the way, to have those out of your hands and have this in your hands?
Much lighter.
Much lighter. Very good.
I can fly.
Let's take a look at what the rocks say. See if we can put a fine point on it all.
Please forgive me. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I can do this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can. You just did.
Oh, I did.
You just did. How's it feel?
Feels good.
Nice.
I can actually do a workout with this stuff.
But you wanna,
I've been doing
we
enough.
wanna get rid of
I've been doing enough workout with
We
this
wanna
stuff.
get rid of
now.
this.
Yeah. I get the point of it. I get the point.
What did the other one say?
I'm sorry.
I did it again.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bless you. Thank you.
I get stuff in my sight.
Oh, you have your gift. Okay, very good. All right. No, you're fine. I do forgive you. Thank you, Scott. Could any of you feel that for yourselves as well, or feel with Scott? The letting go, the putting it down. And of course, we can't receive, right? There it is. Spirit is trying to give to us all the time. But if we have a clenched heart, if we're, if our posture and our minds are closed to the gift, we won't even see it. We won't even know it's before us. We have to consciously put it down. So I want to invite you to close your eyes if you want and just kind of explore this for yourself. What rock or rocks might you be holding? Maybe it's a past hurt, maybe it's a fear, or some other kind of burden. And what if you just put it down? What if you put it down and surrendered it once and for all, giving it over to Spirit? You can ask for guidance right now. What would that look like? What would that next step be for me to let go, to release? And am I willing to take it? Feel into how willing you are to take that next step. Breathe into your degree of willingness. And feel it in your body, in your mind, in your heart. Even the smallest step, a thought, a word, a gesture, is a step toward freedom, peace, and abundance. I invite you to let the words of this prayer be the words of your own heart. I open my heart and my hands to Spirit, the Spirit of love and goodness in every way. I release all burdens, resentments, judgments, or worries. And knowing that forgiveness is a path to my freedom, I forgive myself, others, circumstances. In freedom, I find peace. And I see the face of God in my own reflection and in the face of those I am blessing and letting go. My body breathes more freely now as I trust in the infinite abundance of spirit that flows into every area of my life. My hands, my heart, my mind are open now. My shoulders relaxed. I am willing to receive the blessings of prosperity that Spirit already has for me. Love and peace, joy and harmony, freedom, they're mine. I let them in, I breathe them in, and I affirm these truths, that as I forgive, I am reconciled to my good, and as I let go, I am made ready to receive. Let's affirm these together. As I forgive, I am reconciled to my good. As I let go, I am made ready to receive. And so it is, and so you are.